I'm Mark and Clara is my older sister. She's got these three incredibly energetic boys, triplets. Bless their hearts, they're a handful, even for her and her husband, David. For years, it felt like I was just available. When I was living at home with my parents near Miller Creek, saving up money for college, and then just after, it was constant. Mark, can you watch the boys for an hour? Turned into Mark, can you take the boys for the afternoon? Turned into Mark, can you handle the boys this weekend so we can have a break? It was a lot, you know. And honestly, I love my nephews. But I also had my own life, trying to study, work part-time, and just be a young guy figuring things out. It got to the point where it felt like I had to move out just to get some space. Which I did about a year and a half ago, right after I finished college, and landed a pretty good job in Oakwood. It was a smart move for my career, cutting my commute way down, but honestly, a big part of it was needing to escape the constant expectation to babysit. Clara wasn't thrilled, obviously, because her free childcare disappeared overnight, but she still tried, bribing me with pizza sometimes, and yeah, I caved a few times because, well, family and free pizza, you know? It became this weird new normal. Last summer, my parents planned a family vacation to the coast, down near Port Blossom. They paid for my travel and my hotel room, which was nice, I guess. But here's the kicker. They booked one room for me, and I had to share it with the three boys. Three rowdy 7-year-old boys. It was chaos. Absolute chaos. Sleep was a distant dream. I was promised I'd have time to myself, do my own thing, maybe visit some of the local art galleries I liked down there. But nope. From the moment we got there, I was just on duty, helping wrangle the kids at the beach, at dinner, back in the room. It wasn't a vacation for me. It was a babysitting gig in a different location. I tried to complain to my parents, to Clara. Their response, "Well, you're here for free, Mark. The least you can do is help out." Ouch, right? Like my time and effort had no value because they paid for a tiny part of the trip. We barely did anything I wanted to do. We went to one small gallery for about an hour, and the boys were bored. And Clara kept giving me these looks like, seriously, we're doing this. It just solidified that my idea of a vacation didn't matter. Fast forward to this year. My parents started talking about another beach trip in June, same place, Port Blossom, and they just assumed I'd be coming along the same way. Riding with them, staying in the same room situation, ready to be the designated kid handler. But I'd had enough. I wasn't going through that again, so I just casually dropped it into conversation. "Oh yeah, about the beach trip. I'll be driving myself this year and I'll get my own hotel room." You should have seen their faces. Like I'd grown a second head, they were shocked. "But the cost, Mark, it's so much," they said. I just shrugged. "It's fine, guys. I have a good job now. My car runs great. I can totally afford it. No worries." That's when the pushback started. I calmly explained why I was doing it this way. I told them, "Look, last year wasn't a vacation for me. I felt like a live-in nanny. I'm a grown man now. I have my own life, and I want to enjoy this trip as an adult. I want my own space, my own time to do things I actually want to do." Of course, my parents immediately went and told Clara, probably hoping she'd talk sense into me. Big mistake. She called me, absolutely furious. "Mark, you're going to ruin the vacation. How can you be off doing your own thing while I have to handle the boys all by myself?" That just flipped a switch in me. All the frustration from last year, all the years of feeling taken for granted, it just came out. I yelled back, "Ruining your vacation? What about my vacation last year? All I did was get roped into your mess. I didn't get to do anything I wanted, and I was made to feel guilty just for wanting to go to an art gallery. I'm an adult. I deserve a break and my own vacation too." It was not pretty. We both said some things. Now Clara isn't speaking to me, and my parents are still trying to get me to just keep the peace and go along with their original plan. The pressure is definitely getting to me, you know. This feeling like I'm the bad guy for wanting some basic independence and enjoyment on a trip that's supposed to be fun for everyone. And yeah, I know it'll be tougher for them without my help. But is that my problem? Not really, right? I didn't choose to have triplets. So I went online to one of those forums where people ask if they're the jerk in a situation, and I posted the story. Figured I needed some outside perspective. Get this. My sister Clara apparently lurks on that site in the mornings. Less than an hour after I posted, she saw it. Oh boy. She was beyond furious, not just at me for posting, but because everyone in the comments was siding with me. She went on this huge rant to anyone who'd listen about how incredibly hard it is to be a parent of triplets, which I get, it is hard, but still, and how the least I could do is help because I'm young and single, and she needs a break. I didn't budge. I told her I stood by my decision. And then, classic Clara, she started calling our parents to get them involved again. I was just waiting for their call, and the call came. Later that day, after work, my parents called me. They had read the post and, more importantly, they had seen the absolute flood of comments. They were horrified. Absolutely horrified. And yeah, they were mad at me for posting it online, for airing our family's dirty laundry. But I told them, look, if you guys had just listened to me in the first place, if you had taken my feelings seriously, I never would have needed to post it. I'm sick of this whole keep the peace thing when keeping the peace means I get walked all over to make Clara happy. And you know what? Seeing all those comments, hearing what other people thought of the situation, it actually made my parents take a long, hard look at themselves. They ended up getting really upset with Clara. To make a long story short, the entire beach vacation cancelled. Just like that. The hotel wasn't booked yet anyway, thankfully. Now my parents and Clara are fighting. Clara is blaming me for everything, and apparently the boys are crying because they're not going to the beach, which honestly makes me feel a little guilty. But this whole mess isn't really my fault. Clara actually called me during my lunch break and, get this, basically said I have no life, which is why I have so much free time and should be helping her. Can you believe the nerve? I actually recorded that conversation, and later I played it for my parents. That's what they're really fighting about now. Small update after that call. My parents actually apologized to me. They said they wouldn't push the babysitting on me anymore and admitted that last year was unfair. They were really angry at Clara for that no-life comment. Clara is still playing the victim, naturally. And David, her husband, is basically staying out of it, spending extra time at work, which I honestly can't blame him for. It's been a whirlwind, you know. A week or so passed and things were tense but quieter. My parents apologized again, a more sincere one this time. Clara, not so much at first. That online post really opened a Pandora's box, like I said. It made everyone confront how comfortable they'd gotten with me being the free help. I left home at 22, later than some, saving money while studying, which I'm grateful for, but it seemed like everyone just assumed my time was still their time, even after I moved out. That awful vacation last year was the final push I needed to get my own place before the summer even ended. Didn't give much warning, which surprised them, but I framed it around my job commute, which was true enough. Clara hated losing the weekend babysitting, but she still tried to guilt me into it. When the vacation plan came up again, I saw it as a trap. If I went their way, it would be the same thing. So stating I'd go myself was my way of saying, you can't corner me this time. When they realized they couldn't, the begging and gaslighting started. Clara seriously tried to order me. Around after days of this, I made the post, and then Clara saw it instantly. That's when things really blew up. My parents called me while I was at work, reading the post and the comments. I asked if anything I wrote was a lie. They couldn't say it was, just called it an exaggeration. I told them to look at the comments, hundreds then thousands pouring in. I told them I was done being sacrificed for peace. I had to cut the call short for work, but the sheer volume of public reaction really hit them hard. It forced them to look at their own actions. Clara kept trying to reach me, leaving angry messages. When I finally talked to her at lunch, she was fuming because the online reaction had turned our parents against her side. They were fighting, and the vacation was cancelled. She blamed me, of course, but later my parents admitted they just blamed her out of embarrassment. They finally owned up to making me the go-to free babysitter, even after I moved out. They tried to bring up not charging me rent while I was in college, but I pointed out I was trying my best to get on my feet, and Dad got the same help from his parents. That shut them down. When Clara called me at lunch implying I had no life and should just help her because she's a tired stay-at-home mum, that was the last straw for me. She has a husband with a good job, they own their home, and frankly, her kids are not my responsibility just because they decided I was free help. She hung up, but I had the recording, playing it for my parents. Yeah, that sent them into a full-blown argument with her. Clara dug her heels in, blamed me, and insisted my life should revolve around hers. I told her that was incredibly self-centered and entitled. It took a few days, but David, bless him, finally stepped in and made her apologize. Seeing her actually cowed like that was surprising. On the verge of tears, she admitted part of the reason she relied on me was because she didn't trust strangers with the boys. But then the real kicker came out. David thought she was paying me after I moved out. She'd only been giving me pocket money, enough for pizza for me and the boys, and keeping the rest herself. She'd been shortchanging me for months. David was livid when this came out during her half-hearted apology. He made her pay me every penny she owed me, straight from her savings. She looked absolutely miserable doing it. David apologized to me too for not noticing how I was being treated. He promised they'd hire a real babysitter from now on. It'll cost them, sure, but Clara will finally get those date nights she was so desperate for. Then we had a family meeting at my parents' house. Everything was laid out. Apologies were exchanged. My parents apologized for their part for not sticking up for me sooner. They reinstated the family vacation, actually. And yes, I'm still driving myself and paying for my own room. I even told them I'd stay at a completely different hotel if she tried anything again. Clara promised she wouldn't. I told them if I don't update again after the vacation, it means things went okay. So, the vacation happened. It was a mix. Good because my parents actually backed me up and didn't enable Clara's attempts to get me to babysit. Bad because, yeah, she still tried. I made sure the hotel knew not to give out my room number to anyone, especially my family. Left earlier than them on the travel day to avoid their planned brunch trap. Just sent a quick group text and hit the road. Got to the hotel early, checked in, and specifically warned the desk staff about my family possibly asking for my info. Came back later, their cars were there. Confirmed with the clerk that my family had indeed tried to find out my room, but the clerk refused. My sister even tried to push it, but David shut her down. Nice. I checked in, went to my room on a different floor, called my folks, didn't mention I knew what they pulled. We met up for an outing. At one point, Clara tried the classic, "Can you just watch them for a moment?" trick. I just flat out said, hell no, because I knew a moment meant an hour or more. I called her out on it. David told her to stop. What does she do? Starts crying, saying she needs a break. David pointed out he's tired too, but wasn't complaining. My mum shot me a dirty look. This was a crucial moment. I looked my mum dead in the eye and said, "Mum, if you even think about suggesting I watch these kids, I am walking away from this vacation right now. It is not my job, and I am sick and tired of you and Clara acting like it is." That made my mum start crying too, repeating, "You're right, you're right." This is an old tactic of hers to guilt me. I just said, "Yeah, I'm right, let it go," and walked away. Neither of them tried anything else that day. Back at the hotel, they all piled into one elevator. I waited for the next one. Clara glared, knowing I was avoiding them. I just chilled in the lobby for a bit, then went up to my floor far from theirs. Had a great night. Next morning, went to breakfast, made sure they left first. Told them I'd be doing my own thing for the day, but would meet up for planned family activities like the aquarium or dinner. They accepted it. Later that day, Clara found me leaving my room. She must have been checking the halls. She cornered me, saying I'd ruined her vacation because she had to actually parent. I called her out, said my parents were helping her plenty, and that I was done being her scapegoat. Told her to leave me alone and get on with her life. I just started walking towards the elevator with her yelling behind me. I told her I didn't care and was going to dinner. At dinner, I told everyone Clara had stalked me to find my room. She got scolded again, threw a pity party. I told her to stop milking it and grow up, that she couldn't control me anymore. Walked out, drove myself to dinner. Didn't sit near them in the elevator back either, and told them not to knock on my door, unless it was an emergency. Used my do not disturb sign. The last day was fine, they had clearly given up. I did play with my nephews a bit though, I'm not a monster. I like them, just not being forced to be their full-time keeper. Bought them some little souvenirs. There was some mild drama between Clara and David, but I tuned it out. Overall, the vacation was a win because my mom and sister finally got it through their heads that the old way of doing things with me is over. I have my own life. But guess what? My mom and sister saw my last post online. Of course they did. Clara was apparently checking my account. She called me crying that I made her look like a bad mother. I just said, well, if the shoe fits, she argued, but I kept asking her to point out a lie in the post. She couldn't. So what does she do? Calls Mommy. My mom showed up at my door demanding I delete everything. I said no. Told her she just gave me material for another post, made her leave crying, talked to my parents later on the phone, told them bluntly that they're enabling, created the whole mess, and I am never going back to how things were. If they hoped for that, they could forget it. My parents finally told Clara for the love of God to stop blaming me and leave me alone. They couldn't handle the stress of my retaliation, as they called it. Clara had a full-blown nobody loves me meltdown. My parents had to snap her out of it. David hasn't really gotten involved in this latest round, probably staying neutral, which I get, but it's tough on his marriage and my relationship with him. I feel a little bad for him, honestly. She pushed me too far. My parents are now insisting Clara gets counseling because she can't balance being a mum with her old habits of wanting freedom without responsibility. They basically told her to woman up. I really hope this is the last post. I told Clara that if she doesn't stop thinking I should be her personal slave and acting like the world's against her because she can't boss me around, then we can't be around each other. If she's willing to move past this, maybe we can get along. I told her not to give me a reason to write anything else, and the posts are staying up as my insurance policy. Treat me like a decent human being, and the online drama stops. That left. My mother crying, my father silent. I told them tears don't work on me. They know what needs to happen. Stop enabling Clara. My sister called me again, yelling that our parents told her they're done dealing with it and she needs to figure it out herself. And also, wait for it. They told her to be nicer to me. I swear I could picture her eye twitching. Be nice to my kid, brother, what is this? I was pretty sarcastic. It made her cry too, and she hung up. David called later, wanting my side. He was annoyed I was still posting and upsetting Clara, but I explained everything. He said he'd talk to her again, hoping this finally ends the drama. The vacation is still on for late June. I booked my room, took the day off work, got a room, on a different floor far away. I'm going to Port Blossom to enjoy my vacation, hit those galleries, eat good food, be carefree. Update time. My parents and I had a long, proper talk. They apologized sincerely. We agreed to keep a little distance until Thanksgiving, just to let things cool down. I also had that man-to-man chat with David over some beers last night. He told Clara she needed counseling, or he was separating. They're finding a counselor now. He admitted Clara has been difficult with me, but she's a loving wife. She actually admitted she liked being an only child, there's almost a decade between us, and held on to resentment about me for a long time, letting it build. She knows she needs help. They've hired a qualified babysitter for the boys now, too. David admitted he was angry with me for the posts, but he also knew he hadn't stepped in when he should have. We agreed it was a bad situation all around that needed a drastic end, and we'll let it rest now and get this. The whole online drama, it got me a girlfriend. The girl I like saw the posts and had a feeling it was me. She was just waiting for me to say something. We're going on our first date tonight. Honestly, the support from strangers online helped so much, I really needed it. So yeah, that's the whole crazy story. It was rough, it caused a ton of drama, but I feel like I finally stood up for myself, and hopefully, things are actually changing for the better in the family. It's weird how things work out, right? Share your thoughts below, and don't forget to follow the channel for more deep and meaningful stories.